All right, welcome back to the AM show. And as always, when we come back, we always like to give another good morning. And so we will also say a special good morning, folks, because listen up. Today, we are honored to have a woman whose name alone carries a immense weight, but whose story carries even more. Dr. Alethea Taylor, Executive Director of Our Children, is not just leading a movement, she is redefining it. Dr. Taylor has taught at Hunter College, NYU, and Nyack College, to name a few, and served as the executive director at Green Hope Services for Women, where she supported formerly incarcerated women battling mental health and substance use challenges. So she's truly turned purpose into power, and we are beyond excited to get to the heart of her vision, her grit, and her purpose. So with that being said, welcome to the AM show, Dr. Alethea. How you doing?
Thank you so much. I don't know who you were talking about just now.
You superstar.
Oh, amazing, amazing. How are you feeling today?
I am great. As my mother says, I am on the land of the living.
Aha, I know that's right. I know that's right. Well, we are so excited to have you in the building and, being Zoomed with you here and having you in the studio. And we have so many questions we want to dive into so much. But I think the first thing is we want to talk about your early beginnings, talk about your not even your work, but how did you become or decide that you wanted to become a doctor?
Well, the journey started because my mom wanted me to become a doctor. If you grow up in a Caribbean household, especially umpteen years ago, it's a doctor, a lawyer, it's something that somebody knows. And so that was the dream, to become a pediatrician. I immigrated with my family from Jamaica. And my mom, I always saw her struggle. So I knew that I did not want to struggle like that. And so I went to Clara Barton High School, which specialized at the time in nursing. And I decided I wanted to go to medical school. But in college, I quickly realized I hated chemistry. Oh, crap. Physics took me out. So I called my mom. I was crying because I knew she was going to be disappointed. And I told her that I was not going to go to medical school, but I certainly was going to still be a doctor. And here I am.
And there you are. Amazing. You're like, you know what? I'll do it, but maybe in my own kind of way. Go on your own. Yeah, go on your own path. And you've basically dedicated your career to serving just impacted women and families. So can you tell us what sparked the drive to do that in your career?
Sure. I think it's a happy accident. So I was in Stony Brook, figuring out how to change my major. And I went into the sociology department because I got all A's in sociologies in those courses. And I said, let me change. And I saw a sign that said, earn while you learn. And it was to go to NYU for a scholarship program where they paid half your degree and then the other half went to you as income. And I could work in a low income community and give back. And so I happened to go to Green Hope Services for Women as my internship. And I fell in love. I fell in love with the women, their stories, the fact of redemption and rehabilitation. I never really thought much about incarceration prior to this. I saw incarceration around me in the community I was in, but I never thought about what happened after they came out. And then I became a vocational rehab counselor, got my master's degree, and I was helping women with their career choices. And I soon quickly realized that I loved it. We had women as an alternative to incarceration. So instead of going to prison, they would come to us for about a year. I saw women that were facing a lot of drug issues and a lot of time for having a mental health disorder and for using drugs. And so that spoke to me and helping them find a new path and a new career, because careers does help you stay on the path and not go back to prison. And so I fell in love with this organization, and eventually I became the executive director of that organization. So that's how I feel like my passion found me. But one story, my dad was an alcoholic, and that always resonated with me. And that's why I say I think it's a happy accident, because I saw a lot of what he went through with what was happening with the women. And I was like, I could make a difference in this. And I grew up in not the greatest household, not the greatest community. And some of their things I could identify with. And if it wasn't for my mother, I could be one of those individuals that are incarcerated.
Wow.
Wow.
That's incredible.
So you had passion behind it too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, this is my purpose.
Yeah. I love that.
You know, along the lines of that being your purpose, I mean, you sharing what your dad went through, it hits close to home. I mean, are there any other instances where there are certain things that hit close to home that have continued to drive your work?
Oh, my goodness. So I had a family member that was incarcerated for many years, and I would be the one that would go to take everyone in the family, because I was the only one that could drive and I had a car. So I was in my 20s, right out of my master's degree program. And if they came from Jamaica, Canada, anywhere, I would be the one that was taking them to see this person. And I said, when I heard about our children and I met the previous executive director, and she was telling me about this program where we bring children to see their family members, I was like, oh my God, all these years I've been doing that. I did that for 17 years until they were released. And I knew what that felt like, because of what I was doing and what other family members did is why this person was doing okay while they were incarcerated and was focused on rehabilitation and not getting in trouble. And that's the same reason why I do this work today, where we host kids so that they can go see their mother. And while it is awesome for the kids, because you are always a parent, it's so much more as well for the mothers, because they get to see and they have something truly to live for. And that's what we do. And so didn't realize all these years that I was doing this, how it will culminate to in this job. And I just feel like the stage was set over my life. And here I am living this purpose.
Wow. Yeah, you're so right. It was kind of like the roadmap was already laid out for you and you just had to walk it. And it kind of just,
Absolutely.
yeah, and it kind of just came to life.
Defined.
Yeah, and you're speaking about, the reunification with families, with mothers and their children. And, 17 years you were helping kids go and see their family member. And it is so great that that's such a big part of what you guys do at Our Children. And we actually do have a testimonial I wanted to show from Tawana, actually, who spoke about, how the organization has really impacted her and helped her during her time being incarcerated. So let's check it out and then we'll talk about her a little bit more.
So one, I was allowed to see my daughter once a month through our, the visiting program. And my daughter was picked up at her doorstep and she was dropped off at the end of the visit at her doorstep. The visit was with just she and I and other unsupervised children who were just with their moms. So Our Children was responsible for not just making sure that my daughter got to me and got back safe, but also that even if the guardian could not come, that my daughter could still come. My daughter received birthday presents, Christmas gifts, holiday gifts, so many things that I can't even think about to name. But the things that any mother would be able to kind of provide for their child, I was able to provide for my child through, the assistance of Our Children.
I mean, that is just beautiful there. And she's just one of many who have testimonials like that. So hearing how the organization that you're running right now is impacting folks, how does that make you feel when you hear stuff like that?
Sorry, I can't hear you well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hearing the recording.
Oh, can you hear me now? Hello?
A little bit more, yes.
Yeah, you can hear me now. Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, okay, there we go. A testimonial like that from Tawana, I mean, she's just one of many who've definitely kind of been at the receiving end of what you guys do as an organization. So hearing her speak about it and seeing kind of the fruits of the labor of the organization, how does that make you guys feel on the day-to-day?
Well, I think the fact that the organization centers the relationship and the family is the most important thing. Because I think people forget that you're a parent while you're incarcerated. And that kids need their mothers. And so what we do for women like Tawana is that we make that happen, but we only don't center just on them. We also center on understanding who your child is. So we have a parenting center. So we help them to parent while they're incarcerated. They let us know about their birthday. So we send birthday gifts. They can't afford birthday gifts while they're incarcerated. We also do things like, teach them how to do homework while they're incarcerated. Now, I don't know about you, but I've tried to do homework with my 8-year-old niece sitting next to me. It's complicated. So,
It's different now. It's totally different world. I don't know what they're teaching.
absolutely. So imagine trying to do that as a parent while you're incarcerated with an 8-year-old that has the attention span of 20 minutes maybe. So, we do all these things. And I think we see the benefit of this particular young lady who's now employed and doing the same thing, giving back to women, because this is what our work does. We want to connect with children. Also, if caregivers are not able to take the child, we have chaperones that go and pick the child up so that the child can see their mothers. We've flown kids in from other states in order to see their mothers with a caregiver and paid for that particular service. So this is so meaningful to have a child love on their mother. What is it with, I think about just one mother who she hadn't seen her child in a long time. We were in the waiting room and she saw the child lose their tooth for the first time. I can't even tell you how moving that was and how overwhelmed she was. And we take that for granted, but when you don't see your baby and you haven't seen them in a long time and this happens, it's the most beautiful thing ever. And this is why I do the work that I do.
That's
Beautiful.
incredible. I think you are absolutely right. Losing tooth and being there for pivotal moments and really bridging that gap between, the time that they are incarcerated and allowing them to parent. That's the one thing that, one of the things that you said that really stood out. You allow them to, because I can almost imagine you could feel a bit helpless because of the disconnection. You could feel like you are unable to parent as much as you would want to. So what are some, now I'm trying to get an idea for the framework of how that actually works. Does everyone come to the facility? Can you speak into like what that actually looks like?
So what it looks like is that we are within the prison system. So we have what's called a parenting center at Bedford Hills and Taconic Correctional Facility. We're also at Rikers Island as well. And what we do is we have women that sometimes is by word of mouth, sometimes is with advertisement that we do within the prison. But we've been there for many, many years. So most women know about our children. And so they'll ask to come and see us. And what it looks like is that mother is saying, hey, I haven't seen my baby in 2 years, but the caregiver is saying, let's say the caregiver is a grandmother. And the grandmother says, well, you shouldn't have been in prison in the first place, so I'm not bringing the child. So what we do is have staff that will call that mother, that grandma, to advocate and to talk about how important it is. And if the grandmother said, well, a part of it is I live in Kingston, New York, and this prison is so far from where I am, and we'll offer, how about we come and we pick you up and we drive you down? Or if you can't do that, then we can send a chaperone for the child and bring the child down. And so what that looks like is we have drivers that drive in a van. They go up to Kingston, New York, and bring the child down, even if it's overnight, and take the child in. Sometimes 1 day, 3 days, a whole week we do in the summer. Then as that mother is creating that relationship on the visit, we have a social worker that's available. We do ice cream socials. Chinese food is a big hit.
Yeah.
Because when you're incarcerated, you don't have Chinese food. So we do different activities throughout the day to engage the mothers. And it's all approved by the Department of Corrections as well. Then we have a parenting center to massage and make sure that we help with that relationship. So Mom now, we ask them to take they can participate at their own free will in parenting classes. We have parenting poetry, parenting calligraphy, we do parenting and homework, we do parenting from the inside, and these are done by women that are incarcerated. So the beautiful thing is that we have incarcerated women that are on our staff as well. They
Wow.
also act as caregivers because we have a nursery, and that this particular prison, Bedford Hills, has a nursery, and we have that contract where we have staff that work with the nursery mothers along, and we help them see their other kids, and also we provide services to them, and then we train incarcerated people to be caregivers and to help that mother on site as well. And we just started a new program where we're doing doula services on site as well. So it's a comprehensive package of services that we provide to ensure that mom is okay, but also that the children are seeing their mothers as well.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I mean, there are so many layers involved with it. And I feel like also it gives those mothers hope as well, and the want and the drive to kind of serve what they have to serve, get out there and be with their child again, whatever that means and however that looks like. I think that's so beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so beautiful that you guys are doing that. And
Absolutely. Can I say one thing?
of course, please.
Something I failed to mention is the host families.
Okay.
We have families from the Bedford Hills community who agree to take the kids in for a day or two. And so, for example, we have a child that, say the child coming from Kingston, New York, he or she comes down, they drop them off at 8 a.m., they get to meet the host family. So the host family could be a single mom, it could be, normally it's a couple, and they may also have children, and they'll take that child in. So the child goes in to meet with their mother from 9 to 3. Then afterwards, they go and they stay with that host family for the rest of the afternoon, and then they come back. And then we also provide activities for them in the night, or the host in the evening, or the host family can choose to do that. These people are not being paid. They're doing this free will. We've had some people doing it 20 years. We have churches that are involved in Bedford Hills who have helped us throughout the many years. And we're so grateful for that partnership, for every host family that really helps us, because they are some of the backbone as to why kids get to see. We could not do that on our own.
Wow. That is so important, because if not, then it's just maybe one day the kids are able to go instead of multiple days. You said even a week during the summer.
Yes.
So that's huge. Now, just quickly, just on that, if somebody is listening right now, maybe they're in that Bedford area and they're interested, how do they get in touch with you guys to say, hey, I want to be a host family, and what does that vetting process look like?
Sure. So they can email me directly, ataylor@ourchildren.org, or they can go on our website and in the contact information, put the information in, just saying that they're interested, and we will get back to them. What will happen is that they complete an application process. Well, first they'll meet with a team member to say, this is what we do, this is how it works, and we'll talk through that process. Then they'll be vetted. There is a criminal background check as well, and we do a whole application process, and they sign a contract in regards to who they are. We also vet the family members, and we vet the kids to make sure they're appropriate. Because if a child has a significant mental health issue, that may be a concern putting them in a family as well. And so we vet that family, and then we have orientation. We do some trainings as well with the family so that they know what to expect. Also, we're in constant communication throughout the time that they are there. So they have all our cell phone numbers. So if in case anything happened at any time in the day, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., we'll know how to address. They don't have communication with the caregivers. We have those communication, meaning with the child's caregiver, but we tell that caregiver everything that's happening. And if the caregiver and the host family wants to connect, we allow that as well.
Wow, amazing. No, that's a wonderful process. And so you guys heard, you can go right to the website. So if you guys are interested in hosting, I think it's a beautiful thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible. One more thing, and before we kind of land the plane, I did have a question, just for people out there, just there's pillars that align with the hours that I heard you speak about on, I think it was a previous interview. If you kind of just give us those pillars, and then if you could share kind of what they mean to the organization, and then where we can find you and what you have coming up next. But we would love to hear about that.
Sure. So our children, HOUR, means the critical hours that are important to the relationship. So the hour of her arrest, the hour of the visit, and the hour of reunification. We service all of those. And so as soon as a woman gets arrested, she can come to one of our programs. So that's usually when they're in Rikers Island. And she can call a staff person to say, hey, I want to see my child. And so we start working on the process. And then the visiting hours are so important. That's why we make sure that those visits happen. But when they happen, we train the mother, in essence, whether they're in prison or in jail, how to engage with that child on the visit. And then the reunification. The reunification encompasses all the other services that we provide. So for quickly, our organization not only does hosting and visiting and so forth. When the mother comes home, we want them to reunite with their child. So if the child is under 17, they can live with the mother in one of our programs throughout Long Island, throughout Jamaica, Queens, I should say. We have a community pantry so that the woman will have food at her disposal. We have thrift stores so they can get clothing, they can build a home, because a home is not just about the furniture, it's about those knickknacks, that we have that sometimes we put in our homes. And then we do mental health counseling. We have babysitting services, after school teen services as well. And we have a working women's program to help with workforce development. So we do a lot to make sure that a woman is successful when they come home.
It is so incredible, and you are running this ship so well, and I'm sure so many people are just so happy, and they're impacted in such a positive way from what you guys are doing. And you just kind of touched on what you guys are doing with the thrift stores and the food pantry, and I want to dive a little deeper into that. We have some footage, but quickly, we're just going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to dive into all of those other programs that you just spoke about just a little bit further. So please don't go anywhere, and same with you guys. Don't go anywhere. Quick commercial break, and we'll be back with Dr. Alethea Taylor in just a minute. Welcome back into the show. Yes, we are still joined by our special guest, Dr. Alethea Taylor. Thank you so much for sticking around with us. It's been such a fun and insightful conversation this morning. And I just actually wanted to bring it back to kind of the origin story of the actual organization itself, because we heard how you got involved with it, but I know that this organization has been around for decades now. So could you tell us a little bit about how it was founded and kind of the idea behind it when it first began?
Oh, wow. So I tell you, if you have not met nuns, then you have not met some truly great people. And I say that because in my work at Green Hope and here, I have had the wonderful pleasure of working with nuns who have centered this particular organization and this particular work. So there was a Sister Elaine. She was at Bedford Hills. And what happened is that a mother could not, a mother was going to prison and they didn't know where to put her child. And the child was going to go into the foster care system. So she called some nuns, including Sister Tisa Fitzgerald, to ask if they could take the baby. And that's where it started, that they took the baby, then they took another and another and another. And then the, Sister Tisa, she established Our Children. And she had kids that she was living in with the house now, which is called My Mother's House. They were living in that house with the nuns. And so it wasn't that they hired other people. Nuns from convents, all of them got together because of Sister Elaine and Sister Tisa came together to say, we're going to do this service. And for many, many years, they provided this service where they had children living in the house. They would take those children every week to Bedford Hills, to Connick, or Rikers to see the mothers. And so that's how our children started. And then Sister Tisa, in her wisdom, thought, well, we need people come home. We have to establish housing where they're going to go. And so they started by living in my mother's house, which is a huge convent in Long Island City, and mother and child together. And then it just all grew from there because of the needs of the organization. In fact, one of those first children are now on my board.
Wow.
Oh, what a story. Oh, that's a beautiful full circle moment.
Wow.
Absolutely. I was so happy she came to say hello. And then we said, would you like to be on the board? She wanted to do something. And what more could you do? Because this is a woman that helps to author. Her life was authored by the organization. So
Yeah.
it just has been wonderful.
Yeah,
Wow.
a direct impact. So then that way she's able to kind of pass it forward and really say, hey, no, I get you. I understand personally what you're going through and I'm here to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I think it's incredible how you cover all bases. You cover from when they are incarcerated, and then also there is this entire world when they are no longer incarcerated, and you build these relationships. And me and Nadine were reading about your organization and what you do as far as mental health. Now, mental health is so important, especially as of now. But can you speak of how there are mental health initiatives that you push forth within your program and what that looks like?
Yeah, mental health is, I think I heard you. It's a little difficult sometimes to hear over the music, so just sorry about that. But I believed you talked about mental health concerns.
Yeah, well, it was more so. I know there's like child therapy, emotional support that you have as far as in your overall mental health initiatives. I wanted to know what that looks like and what that framework, how that was built and
Sure.
put together. Hmm.
Thank you so much. Yes. So what we do is we have actually a mental health program that has several social workers and mental health counselors that we hire to provide support services. Now, these are support services that women can accept or not. There is no particular timeline that is outlined to them. A woman can stay as long as they would like within our program. We don't say you have a year, you have 6 months. And so they meet with a designated time. It could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be monthly. They also get support from a counselor while they're in permanent housing as well. So we do a service plan with those women. We have housing where there's stipend that we are able to pay some of their rent as well. And they have to they do get mental health services there as well. And then, as you were showing the picture about with the cute little baby, we have child care services. We have a babysitting service where we have women who will come in if a mom has to go to work and she has to find a community daycare. We'll babysit that child for a while until she is able to find a daycare services that can meet her needs. And then we have after school as well. The goal of all of these is to make sure that the mother is as successful as possible. So we also have an on-site child therapist to help with the mother-child relationship.
Wow.
Also, sometimes mothers, you've had 5 kids, but you've never parented. And so the child therapist, they can access by saying, Johnny is doing this and I'm not sure how to handle it, or I feel like I'm yelling too much and I want to change my pattern and behavior, or my mom was like this with me and I don't want to be like this. Or we'll see patterns where say sometimes mom is out with the baby 12 midnight, let's say 11 p.m. We'll talk with the mom to say, hey, it's important that the child gets rest and that they are get sleep. And so we do lots of education. So the counseling is not, I would say, traditional. Where you're sitting and you're just doing trauma informed care. We do that. Trauma services, we do that as well. But it's a lot more of coaching and really mentoring also the women, and then getting into some of those issues like the time that you spent in prison. What were some of the things that were triggering for you, and what were some of the needs? And also, feeling like a bad mom because I have a child that I left at 0, meaning that I was pregnant while I was incarcerated. I come home, she's now 5 and she really doesn't know me and she's living with me for the first time. And how do I deal with that?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that way they can strengthen that bond throughout the time of incarceration and make that transition a lot easier. I mean, I think it's,
It,
yeah.
it does.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful what you guys are doing. Like we spoke about in the first part, it's all the different layers that all kind of add up and help each other and work together well to make that transition very seamless. Now, just my question is beyond the individual families, because of course they've been so impacted. We heard a testimonial before. How do you think the work that you guys do at Our Children is really just changing the perception of women who were incarcerated coming home with the wider community? How do you think the perception from the community has changed?
I love that question. I feel like an ambassador to talk about parenting and incarceration because I still believe that individuals just do not think about the fact that you're a mother or father while you're incarcerated. And what we have a tendency to do is think about what the person did. And really and truly, does it matter if the person is a mother or father? They should still have the opportunity to parent their child if they can do so. I'm not saying that they're not grotesque things that have happened to kids and things of that nature. That's not what we're talking about here, and that's not the majority of people that are incarcerated. And so this is kind of the argument that we make and we talk about when I go out and do, whether it's speeches or education, and even in my own family, sometimes people misunderstand what I do for a living. And so I am so excited always to talk about parenting from behind and what that feels like. I think also Our Children has become a voice to talk about motherhood and what motherhood is and what motherhood is not, but from the perspective of a criminal legal system, not necessarily around anything else, meaning that we are talking about people who are incarcerated and what their needs are and what the kids need. And so the way that we frame it also, we come from the perspective of the child, because we connect children to their mother. To me, that's a great mission for an organization because I know I can't even imagine what it would have been like not to have the mother that I have and to be able to connect with her in that way. And so those are the things that we do. So, I belong to the Rikers Commission where we talk about issues and I make sure that I center motherhood and center women that are incarcerated and their needs because there are unique needs for women that are incarcerated. Also, the women are center of the family. And what happens is when a woman goes to prison, the family also goes because that woman is oftentimes the caregiver. And so we try to make that as clear as possible. And we work towards let's not be so much concerned about what the person did, whether they're in prison and they're innocent or not. This is not what it's about. It's about the child and what their needs are and how we connect that mother to make sure that they have healthy relationships.
And that's so smart too, because hopefully in doing that, it'll help that person rehabilitate more, maybe be able
It
to
does.
go and have a life afterwards. Have you experienced that?
Oh, most definitely. Absolutely. We have women who, to Tawana's story
Yeah.
is a great example where, being able to connect with her child while she's incarcerated has helped her be a better mother when she came out. I have another person that was incarcerated. She's also on my board. And she talks about the struggle that she's had in her relationship with her daughter, even all these years later. And she was inside for, I think, altogether, maybe 11 years, two separate times for various reasons. And she talked about how Our Children helped to bridge that bond, but there were so many more things that happened when she came out. Her daughter is now 25 and struggles with the fact that mom wasn't there all the time. And we are there to, prior to her becoming a part of the board, we were able to really touch base with that and also encourage them to do therapy and family therapy. So yes, there are continuing struggles. There are the bond that we help to create because they have to create the bond. But the bond that we help to create with the visitation is paramount to them doing well inside. If you indulge me for a second, there's a woman that's incarcerated now, and she has a life sentence, and she has been there about 30 years now, close to 30. Her daughter is a part of our program, in the sense of this. She doesn't get services, but what she does, if she needs help, she'll reach out to our children. She was getting services when she's younger. She got an apartment the other day. She was having some struggles. She reached out to our children. We were able to find resources to help her. She comes and she visits and she gives back to the organization. And her mother, because of her daughter, went to college on the inside. This woman is now teaching a class on the inside, and also did some stuff for the commissioner recently where they allowed her to go out of prison for one day to do a speech. And now we're looking at potentially that she may get clemency. So let me tell you something. This work spans decades in order to really help a family heal.
Wow, so important. What a story that is.
That's unbelievable.
Wow.
One of the things I love about not only hearing how you are speaking about the things that you are doing, but when you think of restoring, you think of restoring back to normal, back to what was left or lost via incarceration. But not only do you restore, you take it a step further, and then you expand on the restoration. So I was also reading about you have financial literacy courses and initiatives that you push forward. Of course, you help people find housing and jobs, and all of that coupled together, I think that's incredible. And again, I used to, in my early on, I was working in finance. I'm so fascinated by programs that offer financial literacy because they're things that we don't learn in college. We don't necessarily learn how to balance our books or budgeting and things like that. Can you speak a little bit more into the financial literacy and how that comes about?
Sure. I'm a well-educated person, right? And I still hate dealing with my own finances.
Yeah.
So, and I take financial literacy courses for myself.
Yeah.
Because it's not the thing that I love to do. And this is one of the reasons also communities of colors, we're not exposed, especially low-income communities. We're not exposed to financial literacy early on, to have a bank account, to be able to know what a loan is. We don't get taught about buying houses. And so those are the types of things that we're doing at the organization, where we're teaching women about financial literacy. This woman the other day, I was talking to her about getting a home. She's like, Alethea, how am I going to get a home? I'm living in a transitional house. I don't even have my own apartment. I said, if you don't start thinking about what the plan is today for tomorrow, then you're going to always be stuck in today. So we really need to figure out what your finances are and how you move forward. And that's why we're doing what we're doing in order to help you. And I think those are the ways that we do it. With our working women, we've had Chase come in to talk about financial literacy, and they're not asking for you to open a bank account. They're really talking about what's budgeting, and they make it fun and they make it interesting. And you got to bring food because come on, why?
Oh yeah,
Come on, yeah.
Right. So we do all those things. We've had lawyers from different law firms and so forth come in. We went to Steve Madden as well, brought women in to talk about human resources, employment, because that's all connected to our finances. The other thing that we're doing now, we actually created a plan for the organization to really help our own staff become homeowners if they can, and then also to be thinking more about their finances. And I agree with you. There's such a paucity in this in certain communities that we really need to do a bigger push around financial literacy, because that's what helps to take you out of poverty.
Oh, you are so right. We talk about this all the time, that's what needs to be taught from when we're children. Like, that's what needs to be in the elementary school kind of school books. So that's what we need to learn, because so many people don't. And same, we all struggle. Hey, I'm an adult too. I struggle as well with it. But every day we have to work towards it. So I think it's a great program you offer. And honestly, just hearing you talk about the organization and the smile that lights up on your face and how you glow, you are meant for this job. I know you're the second executive director in the history of the organization So brava to you for that. And I just have one final question for you is, what do you see for the future of the organization? What do you hope that you guys are going to accomplish? What would you love to check off that bucket list in the next few years?
Oh my gosh. I would love to have another house, even bigger one, where we are able to, several houses actually, where we are able to serve more women. We see women coming home, and we want to be able to have homes that are not only in New York City. We would love to branch out into Buffalo and those other areas that's closer to another prison, Albion Correctional Facility. So that's one of my dreams, is to be able to do a house in one of those communities, because many of our women from Bedford Hills, downstate, and Taconic, they go upstate, and we would love to be able to find something to really replicate that for the organization. I also think that one of the things that we want to do is to partner much more with organizations that are similar to ours throughout the United States, which there aren't many, and to be able to establish that, because incarceration is for women have increased tremendously over the years. And so our children intends to be a voice for incarceration. So when you hear incarceration, women and mothers, we would love for you to think about our children. And that's the mission for, that's the vision for the organization. We want to end this generational incarceration. And the only way to do that is to continue to educate and to have programs such as this for the organization. But we want to continue to build and to raise funds for the organization so that we can provide more homes, more visits. And lastly, we're looking to truly expand the visiting program and to make it longer throughout the years so that this 1 week is just not only in the summer, that we can have every holiday weekend and actually have schools be okay maybe with a child missing 1 to 2 days of school, and making it a part of their programming for the kids.
Wow, so beautiful. I'm sure you're going to accomplish all of that, especially with the passion, the drive you have, and once again, family's number one. So I'm sure the schools will probably be able to work with you guys on that, or so we can hope. But we're so excited to continue following the journey of our children and your specific journey. And just thank you so much for joining us and just shedding a light on what is going on in our prison systems today. So we so appreciate you coming here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having me. This was wonderful. And thank you for the work that you're doing, shedding light on programs such as ours.
Yes, of course. And so guys, if you want to learn more, we've had throughout the whole interview, but it's also below right now, the website, Instagram, wherever you guys can find a Dr. Alethea Taylor. So thank you once again, and we'll definitely continue to stay in touch.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.